Hi, happy Friday. Looking forward to a long weekend. We're on a 4-day weekend here at my house and in San Diego. I think a lot of the schools are out now through Monday for Memorial Day weekend. And I'm going to continue to talk about emotional intelligence. I've talked about it last week. It'll come up again and again. It's very connected to our intuition, and it is where we're headed. It is where we were headed in humanity. It's where we're headed in our school systems. It's where we're headed. And like I said on Monday, if you're my age or older, this was not probably something that you learned unless you had parents or yourself who's done a lot of work on yourself internally. But the kids coming up behind me, I'm 48, they get it. They are getting it. So the first thing that we need to be able to do to have emotional awareness is self-awareness. Self-awareness is not just identifying self. That's not being self-centered. It's not being focused on self. It's being self-aware, beginning of being self-aware of knowing how you feel. Now, in my family, I'll talk a little bit more about this on Monday since it'll be Memorial Day because it'll be pertinent to that day. There was a lot of trauma that went on early on, and a lot of it being that I come from a military family and there have been family members lost in war, and when men come home from war, there's definitely a trauma that goes on. And in that, and the military is now just getting started with this as well, they didn't treat PTSD, or they didn't even acknowledge that for a long period of time. And so this whole emotional awareness and being self-aware of your feelings, most of us who grew up in the United States, my age or older, were told to kind of stuff it, show up, pretend. And there wasn't really, and I'm not saying every person is like this, I'm kind of talking generally, but being able to really be in touch with your emotions. And I'm not talking about this. I know a lot of people, and I did this too, go out with their friends, drink some beers, and then get really emotional. That's not getting in touch with your real emotions. Now, sometimes they pop up. The alcohol kind of lightens you up and lets that kind of come out, but you're not really in touch with it. So that's going to be the first thing. So what I suggest, I'm doing it myself, is really being self-aware in the moment of what my feelings are. And when a feeling comes up, if I don't know what I'm feeling, to step back and write and do some, hear poetry. And this came to me earlier today. Poetry is super powerful with this. I asked a friend of mine, actually my boss, she was writing a poem. I said, "Oh, you're a poet?" She goes, "Only when I need to be." And what she was saying is she was trying to work through what was going on, and the words weren't coming out specifically in emotion, so she wrote a poem, and it comes out through that when we're trying to seek direction, trying to seek our intuition is guided by our emotions. So if our emotional intelligence is not, if we are not working in emotional intelligence, you cannot follow your intuition. They go hand in hand. So this whole, I have 4 steps. There's 4 steps. It's not my steps. I do some research and I bring it to you. So 4 steps on emotional intelligence. The first step is really becoming self-aware. I'll post the article like I have been so you can read a little bit more of that. But the practice of self-awareness is really key on emotional intelligence and learning how and following your intuition and being led to a very joyful life. That's what we want. And when we hold in our emotions or we don't know how we feel, we can't live joyfully. And I feel for men. A lot of men my age and older have not been permitted to really understand their emotions. That's changing too. A lot of the young guys are really getting in touch. And that's good. That's good. I know it feels threatening to some of the older generation and they don't know what to do with that. And I have watched that happen. In my family, I've watched it happen out in the world, but that is where we're moving. So self-awareness, I hope you have a great weekend. I may see some of you out and about. I know we'll be doing some beach time, but I'll talk back to you Monday with step 2 on emotional intelligence, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.